It's surprising how some of these younger oaks, and indeed some of the old ancients, are still holding the leaves here in Sherwood Forest, and admittedly the leaves aren't in the best of condition, which isn't surprising on what's almost the first day of winter. Great that we can reach winter, at least astronomical winter, and still have some leaves on some trees. And while there's still leaves on oaks, there's still time to look for a couple of leaf miners, one of which here in Sherwood Forest isn't common at all, and it's one that I've not found for a number of years, and even when I have found it, it's quite an event. Well, as you can see, the leaves have left the silver birches for this year, and it's nice though that there are still some leaves as we enter winter on some of the oaks, and on just the one oak that I'm standing under, there are leaves. These are two different mines of different species of stigmella. I could have an educated guess as to what these are, but by and large you cannot determine the identification of stigmella mines on oak during the autumn. You really need, or certainly need, the larva to be present, and the larvae of both these two mines are long since dropped to the floor to pupate. Unfortunately, the mines of stigmellas on oak in autumn are too similar to be able to determine the species, but you can certainly determine them as being stigmella by the gallery mines. So unfortunately, although very nice to look at, and this one looks particularly as though it could be identified with that central frass line, that narrow central frass line, we can't say exactly what it is that caused it or caused the other one. I could, but that wouldn't be good practice in telling people that they can identify something by the leaf mine when in fact they can't with any accuracy. However, now we've ditched those two, we bring in these two. These two small blotch mines can be identified. One is extremely common to the point of being absolutely abundant here in Sherwood Forest and probably across many oak trees over much of the UK. The other one, this one, isn't. That is very rare here in Sherwood Forest. It's years since I found it, but the mines are pretty much identical. Even if we turn them over, they are largely identical. Pretty much just an angular blotch, especially on this one. It depends where the blotches are formed, and this one is a bit more open, but in many instances of this particular species mine, it will create exactly this shape. Now the difference between the two lies in a slit, and we really need a brighter sky, but I will put some photos in to illustrate this one. But this mine here is the mine of Ectoedemia subimmaculella, and you may well be able to determine that there is no frass in this mine. Normally the frass collects, but it doesn't in the mine of subimmaculella, and that's because it creates a slit, and this slit goes in almost like a V shape. The purpose of that slit is to allow the frass to fall out, and then the larva, consequently, on wanting to pupate or begin the pupation process, exits via that slit. This mine, however, the frass, as you can see, which is the dark substance within the mine, doesn't fall out. And the reason for that is because there's no slit. No slit to allow the frass to fall out. And the caterpillar exits by a tiny slit elsewhere. So when at this time of year, mid-December, anytime from November onwards, if you find a mine in which it's a blotch mine and you can see the frass in it, if you look at it closely, you may well see, if it's vacated, that there will be a tiny slit, probably not much bigger than 1 millimetre. And this is the mine of Ectoedemia heringi. It's a mine, as I say, always looked for, but rarely found here at Sherwood Forest. And I did find a couple of these. These leaves were found on the floor underneath a smallish oak near where I am now. Ectoedemia subimmaculella, which is this one, is abundant across Sherwood Forest, and it's the most common sort of blotch mine that you'll find like that. Whereas this one, Ectoedemia heringi, is altogether much rarer, but determinable by there being no V-like slit to allow that frass to fall out.